Now from the University of Okoboji, it's Okoboji Broadcast with Jeff Thee.
Good evening. Quite the crowd. Welcome to the Milford Campus Reveal. My name is Tim Kinnetz, and it's a privilege of my lifetime to be here in front of you tonight. I'm the president of the Spirit of Okoboji. It's a nonprofit organization. We have the mission to make lives better by creating and fostering opportunities the Iowa Great Lakes region offers to residents and visitors. We have several community betterment projects in the works, including working with the Friends of the Abby Gardner Cabin Historic Site, where a conditions assessment of the whole site is currently in the works. And from there, master planning will take place in an effort to preserve and enhance the historic site. Keep your eye out for updates on the progress of the important work that's being done there. We also have the Okoboji Music Masters, which is being led by my spouse, Joran, and we have initiated a new endeavor called Okoboji Tree Sculptures. It's a tree sculpture art project where we take dead trees and give them additional life through chainsaw and fine tool art carvings. We plan to have a treasure map online and printed showing the location of the artwork throughout the Iowa Great Lakes. And finally, the biggest project that we're working on is what you're here to learn about tonight. It's called the Milford Campus. The Milford Campus consists of the Okoboji Sports Campus, a sports tourism facility, a family entertainment venue, and what we're calling South Okoboji Estates, a community housing development. I want to thank you for your interest in taking the time to attend tonight. I'd like to recognize those invited and many that are here tonight. Senator Dave Rowley, Representative John Wills, Representative Megan Jones, the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors, Jeff Thee, thank you. Thank you for elevating my anxiety level with your recording. I'd like to thank the Milford Mayor Anderson and the Milford City Council as well. We have someone else special here tonight, Iowa State University head wrestling coach Kevin Dresser. He brings his wrestling program along with professional wrestlers and coaches from all over the country and even the world to summer camp right here in the Iowa Great Lakes. He mentioned how nice it would be to hold a state tournament in our brand new facility, maybe one day. Let me first share some background and how we got to the point of all being together here tonight. My life was shaped by my childhood in this school. I got the privilege of becoming an EMT and serving on the Milford Fire Department while still a senior in high school. This was the start of my interest in healthcare. After high school, I went on to become a paramedic, which I still am today, and then I became an emergency room nurse, which I'm still an RN today. 9 years after graduating from this high school, in 1999, I started a healthcare staffing company called Grapetree Medical Staffing. It went from one nurse, me, to 5 to 10 to 100 to now we employ over 7,000 healthcare workers in 12 states. Thank you. Thank you. During the growth of Grapetree, I identified a problem and was able to solve it with a second startup company that I named after my grandparents, Annabelle and Leo. I called it Ann Leo. It has now merged into Grapetree. Both companies were invested in back in 2017. During the investment process, I moved from CEO to my current spot as a board member. That transaction and the continued Grapetree business success is allowing me and my family to make substantial contributions giving back to the community that I grew up in and that I call home. At first, I investigated botanical gardens. I was excited about an indoor venue that would benefit our local community during our long winter months. A feasibility study was conducted, and it revealed a cost that was not sustainable. And with the population and tourists expected in the wintertime, it just would not be sustainable. Excuse me. From there, discussion moved to an indoor sports tourism facility. That idea quickly gained traction, and interest was immediate. In 2019, a board of trustees was formed. This board is made up of some very talented and experienced business and community leaders. I'd like to recognize them at this time. For the Okoboji Sports Campus, Lisa Peters is the chairperson. She's the chairperson of our board. And the other trustees are Jill Harms, she has Blink Marketing, John Adams Jr., the Lakes News Shopper, and Mark Steffes with Steffes Companies. Recently, we also invited additional committee members to help us formulate some master planning. And those committee members are Sherry Jones, she's the chairperson of the Milford Parks Board, and Shane Hoffman, who's a city council person for Milford. I'd also like to recognize our new full-time director that will help us carry out our mission. She is here tonight, Angie Cook, who is also from Milford. Then we have Dr. Mary Skopik, Joran Kinnetz, and I, who round out the board of directors for the nonprofit Spirit of Okoboji. 2019 was when we really got started on planning. Our Board of Trustees conducted several meetings with community stakeholders as part of a professional feasibility study conducted by sports facilities companies who are here tonight and will tell us all about the exciting facilities. Planning slowed during the pandemic, but now we're back at it. As we see other developments popping up all around the lakes area, Milford is falling behind, and the time is now to coordinate as stakeholders and as a community, to create a master plan that has value and enhances our way of life. Last year, our nonprofit organization, the Spirit of Okoboji, made an offer to the city of Milford to buy the airport land for our project. We're simply unable to expand our community with the building restrictions that come with being in proximity to an airport, primarily height restrictions. Of course, there are safety concerns when it comes to populations of people living and playing so close to an airport and the runway. So let's switch to that slide. Thank you. So in 2017, the City of Milford published a comprehensive land use plan that shows an expansion of Memorial Park. It's hard to see on this screen, it's a little blurry, but it does show the expansion of Memorial Park. It was in the newspaper and it's on our website, you can zoom in on it. But the city designated the runways as residential property and residential on the farmland that we own north of the runway. So I'll show you on the screen, unless I can point to it on here. Can you see the cursor? Yeah. Okay, so, oh shoot. Here's the grass runway that runs north and south. Here's the east-west runway. And this is all the farmland to the north. Jerry Clark is here tonight. Welcome, Jerry. And here's the Clark Museum. So giving that for reference, but this is all the farmland that we have available that I'm willing to donate for this project. Memorial Park sits here, and this is farmland to the north of Memorial Park that was Don Hemphill's farm that we purchased as the Spirit of Okoboji, 25 acres. So we own this farmland on the south side of the runway. We own the farmland on the north side of the runway. And of course, I own all the property here in the Boji Bay corner, with exception to Perkins and the gas station. Our concept plan fits nicely with what the city has published, and we look forward to working with the community on this project. We feel that the amenities being considered will be desirable to live by. Each will be a catalyst for the other, improving property values. We have expert teams teed up and ready to help professionally carry out our master plan. We're forming a developmental study group, among others, that will look closely at costs, sustainability, and fundraising. One of the main goals that we set out when we engaged sports facility companies was we want sustainability. We want a facility that will generate revenue, make money, and be sustainable on its own. At this time, I'd like to invite Lisa, the chairman of our board, to say a few words.
Thank you. I want to take just a little time to give a shout out to a few of the people that have enthusiastically stepped forward to be part and to volunteer their time to be part of the Development Study Committee. We have yet to engage their time. We have a few more steps, as you're hearing about today, that we need to get through. But what I would like to do is list them off, and if you'd like to give a wave, Sue Richter will be on that committee, as well as Josie Huff, Tracy Small, Greg Post, and Tracy Evans. Plus, there are others who have reached out to me already, as well as other board members that say they would like to help out where they can. And so we thank you all in advance for anyone who wants to step up. And if you're at the end of this, if you are interested and would like to know more or learn more or take part in it, we will have these cards that you can either mark that you would like to volunteer your time, or as we will state, if you have any questions, you can also list them here. We also have a website that you can do the same. All right. So at this time, Tim, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll pass out some cards. You can put your name on there. Any questions? We're taking in questions tonight. We'll post them on our website. Part of my presentation and Eric's presentation will hopefully answer some of the questions that have already come in. But again, ideas, questions, if you want to help in any way, please complete the card being handed out or go to milfordcampus.com and enter your information there. So at this time, I'm very excited and pleased to introduce our guest speaker, Eric Sullivan. Eric, or Sully, known by his group of friends, is an owner of the Sports Facility Companies, SFC, and has been with the firm since 2006. SFC is the industry's leading resource for planning, developing, and operating the best sport, recreation, fitness, and entertainment venues across the United States. SFC has supported our journey through the market research and feasibility, and will now continue to do so as a development partner and operator. Eric?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Truly a pleasure to speak with you all tonight about this really exciting project. Tonight, what I'm hoping to do, or this afternoon, is really cover a little bit about our company, the process that we've gone through to arrive at this point in time, the project as it's currently envisioned, and then as we move forward, the next steps and how this project will continue to hopefully serve the great community. Just a little bit about our company, the Sports Facilities Companies. As Tim mentioned, I'm one of the partners. I've been at the firm since nearly its beginning, and we help with all types of projects that are related to sports, fitness, recreation, and entertainment. Essentially, we like to say that anything that's fun or good for communities is what we like to do. In fact, our mission is to dramatically improve the health and economic vitality of the communities we serve. And I don't take that lightly because we truly believe in the impact. We've all had personal experiences with sports, either as a participant, as a fan, as a coach, watching our loved ones, siblings, kids play, or even just enjoying passive recreation in our communities. When we talk about projects like this project that the Spirit of Okoboji has really done a great job of envisioning, it is absolutely at its core sports tourism, but it's also very much meant to serve the community. So tonight, when we talk about some of these examples, none of this is going to be something that we haven't thoroughly researched and haven't actively engaged with partners to talk about. So from all of the respective professional organizations down to the youth organizations and the community organizations has been part of a 68-factor feasibility process that we've gone through to arrive at the prototype concept here for the Great Lakes region of Iowa. Some of the different projects that we currently work on, we've got just over 40 active accounts that represent about 75 different types of facilities, and I'm going to highlight a few today, not to make a direct comparison to Okoboji in this project specifically, but talk about some of the results, some of the key factors, and some of the outcomes that have been derived by different projects that we've had the pleasure and the blessing of working with through their inception all the way through development and operations. And at the core of this, one of the things, as Tim talked about, sustainability and looking for something that can drive both outside usage in a community that brings outside spending that would not be there if but for the events that take place in the venue. Those are generally called sports tourism. This is, if you will, people that are traveling for leagues, camps, clinics, destination events that often draw overnight guest stays and stays from outside of an immediate market area of typically 60 to 120 minutes. So oftentimes these are 4, 6, even up to 8-hour drive times into the region, and you'll see that in some of the stats and some of the information that we talk about here tonight. One of the first venues that I want to highlight, I like to highlight because it was early in the sports tourism explosive growth. So in the last few years, sports tourism has continued to grow all the way through 2008, 2009. It was the only sector of tourism that didn't have 2 quarters of decline. And what it did was it really shifted the tourism markets and some of the user groups of these facilities onto, we need a better solution. So in Myrtle Beach previously, they were using their event center, their convention center to try to host sports, and it really wasn't an ideal outcome. So this facility was developed in 2015, and since that time has generated over $140 million of direct economic benefit into the community and really helped to round out what was previously a seasonal destination. Speaking of seasonal destinations, this facility behind me is in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Gatlinburg, if you've been there, is home to the Smoky Mountains, a great national park, a whole lot of pancake houses, putt-putt golf, and other types of attractions, and moonshine, of course. But what's interesting about that is it's really known for its summer destination and then its fall destination. So tree peepers, people that come in to see the color change, which I didn't even really know was a thing until we started working in Gatlinburg. But what was interesting was they didn't have any winter tourism, and in the spring, because the watershed from the mountains, a lot of their outdoor fields were unplayable, both for tournament use and for local use and for school use. And so this project was a combination of support from the school district, from the county, and from 3 neighboring cities to develop a year-round destination. And the outcome was tremendous. Now a number of the hotels, motels, and restaurants that were seasonal and only open for 6 to 9 months throughout the year are actually open throughout the year. And this facility, since its inception in 2014, has done over $172 million in direct economic benefit into that community and generates over 70,000 room nights on an annual basis. Another venue I'd like to highlight here just quickly is the Hoover Met Complex. This is actually in Hoover, Alabama, outside community to the Birmingham Metro Marketplace. This was an interesting project because it was in a part of the community that was positioned for growth but hadn't really found its stride just yet. And at the heart of that community was a dilapidating ballpark that was an older minor league ballpark that hadn't been used. Actually, it's the place where the Birmingham Barons played, and if you remember Michael Jordan's famous come to baseball after his basketball career, it's where he had his first at-bats in that venue. But what's interesting about this project is they revitalized the stadium, but they also added an indoor facility, outdoor fields, and what that's done is create a real transformative landscape around with new residential, both in individual single-family homes, multi-family homes, as well as restaurants, retail, and 2 new hotels that have developed just around the campus. And last but not least, have you been to Cedar Point roller coaster, Sandusky, Ohio? No? I'm a Michigander, so don't hold that against me. But everyone from Michigan, summertime, you've got to go to the roller coasters at Cedar Point. It's a really interesting destination, and what they wanted to do was look for ways to drive, again, the parks drive great summer traffic, but how do we drive more traffic in the fall, the winter, and the spring? And they turned to youth sports. So this is a combination of an expansive outdoor ballpark, sports force parks that drives great room nights and baseball and softball tournaments, as well as the Cedar Point Sports Center, which was opened as a public-private partnership between the city, the county, the Destination Bureau, and Cedar Fair Entertainment, who owns the water park, the amusement park, and the hotels locally around it. And what's interesting, when you look at the way the distribution of visits mentioned, I told you Michiganders show up, and you can see that, all the dots from the mitten. But as far reaching as, Buffalo, New York to the east, as far west as Madison, Wisconsin, and as far south all the way into the Carolinas, we're drawing great participation to this destination. It's truly been catalytic to, again, a great year-round destination in Cedar Point. So now, talking about not just the tourism draw, but how do these venues really serve the community? How does it serve you all on a regular day-to-day basis? Some of the work that we've done with really great partners like the Aspen Institute, Project Play 2020, and with different colleges and universities is looked at what is the impact of healthy communities and for healthy, active youth. And one of the biggest outcomes of the study was finding that when kids don't have access to play, when they don't have programs or facilities that are open and available, the periods after school are the highest inactivity rates, it's the highest crime rates, and it also leads to future issues within that community. So the swoosh, what it recommends, we'll make this available so that you all can see it, but essentially what it summarizes is that kids that are engaged in play are more likely to have higher test-taking scores, graduation rates, lead to healthier communities, and ultimately healthy kids lead to healthy adults, lead to healthy kids, lead to healthy communities. So it really is a cycle that has been widely looked at and highly regarded as one of the most impactful things of cornerstones for community development. Additionally, when we think about this project here and the dynamic part of it, I'm going to focus primarily on the sports piece. That's what I get to talk about. Tim is going to talk more about some of the other elements of the development. What's awesome about these types of facilities is not only do they attract the opportunity for multi-generational programming, literally from Mommy and Me programming all the way through Silver Sneakers and everything in between, it's also very impactful to market values. So when you think at home values, when you think about impact to commercial businesses, retail, restaurants, gas station, all of the things that come with people traveling for sports, they have a very positive impact to the overall fabric of that community, both in terms of the outcomes you saw on the previous slide and the financial impacts like direct economic impact and increased residential and commercial home values. Now, shifting gears to talk about the awesome campus that's been envisioned here locally, I'm going to spend most of my time talking about what's in the northeast corner of the site. It's the blue angled building that, if you can see on the cursor, right here is really the heart of the sports tourism complex and recreation facility, family entertainment, as well as then the opportunity for additional outdoor ball fields as part of the overall development. As part of the study, what we did is we looked at all of the different opportunities for play. We looked at indoor, we looked at outdoor, we looked at active recreation, passive recreation, and put it through a very detailed process to look both at the local community and at the region. And the prototype that we've come back with is a very dynamic facility. It's about 110,000 square feet. It features both a court space similar to what we're standing here now, but with 4 main courts. So that would be 4 basketball courts, which double as 8 volleyball courts, but also has the opportunity to drive a whole bunch of different types of uses that we'll talk about here in a moment. A performance center for both fitness, wellness, team and individual training, turf programming for year-round turf sports, as well as some entertainment factors that are geared around kids, family, and community. During this process, we've worked with the Spirit of Okoboji and worked with some local architects to come up with the plan that you see here. These are some renderings not meant to be the exact building that's going to be developed, but the one that from the standpoint of market feasibility and conceptual design is what's in consideration today, understanding that as the project continues to evolve, we get feedback from you all, we'll have opportunities to tweak and refine the program plan and ultimately what the end result looks like. At the heart of the facility, if you can see here, I mentioned that there's some big primary areas. Here's the primary court space, so you can see this lays out at 4 courts and it's represented in different configurations, and we'll talk about some uses there. There's also proposed elevated walking track around that environment, as well as a turf field, and then in this knuckle of the buildings where we have a lot of the infrastructure related to entertainment opportunities, food and beverage, and those wellness opportunities. As we dive into some of the individual spaces, in the gymnasium, as I mentioned, basketball, volleyball are easy ones to envision and program in there. It will also be adapted, as you heard Tim mention, for mat-based sports. So as we look at wrestling, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, different types of opportunities, absolutely be capable to serve. We can also bring in different types of consumer shows, home shows, trade shows that often serve as great filler programs outside of the traditional sports seasons. We can do things like cheer, dance, and all different types of performance arts that can be brought into this space and really work in conjunction with the existing inventory that we have here from the schools to host bigger events that will make an impact throughout the community. One of the additional program spaces that we looked at is where are athletes training and where are kids playing during times of inclement weather. And so what you see here is a turf training space that's envisioned at just under 20,000 square feet, which allows us to bring in a full-scale field for youth soccer, modified indoor lacrosse, field hockey, and then all types of additional team training. And it's also nice in that space that we see a lot of adapted use also for low-impact fitness, whether it be for programs like Silver Sneakers, for PT, OT, or different types of activities. Not to mention for baseball, softball athletes, we'll also have drop-down batting cages so we can do year-round pitching and hitting training in this environment as well. As we look at the training center, this is really focused around both serving the community from a health and wellness standpoint, but also having the functionality for team training and individual training. So when you think about the bigger, faster, stronger training, when you think about PTOT, different opportunities to engage, we've seen a lot of synergies working with local groups, local medical professionals, as well as the local sports clubs and teams, so that we can use not only the physical training space, but also the gymnasium, the turf field, the walking track, and other elements to help facilitate these types of programs. This is a really exciting space that is really revolved around active play, and that's the Family Entertainment Center, or FEC for short is the acronym. Within the Family Entertainment Center, we've looked at both the opportunity for some traditional arcade as well as really activated play. One of the things that the Spirit of Okoboji board has looked at is how can we give kids and families a place to go and recreate during the inclement weather months. And so having play equipment in here, having different types of climbing equipment, different types of simulator activities, this would really be a place that's really focused on fun for all ages, but also able to facilitate different types of group outings, birthday parties, summer camps, and other types of really fun and engaging activities. And then last but not least, I think the youth programs, and you'll find that, you know, talking about this is a multi-generational, from the Mommy and Me programs all the way through active recreation, pickleball, different types of engaging activities. Youth development programs are something that are also a core focus. So as working with the nonprofit as well as SF companies, we have an access program. One of the things that's really important is how can we make sure that not just part of the community, but all of the community can come out and play and enjoy a fantastic venue like this. And so one of the things that we'll be focused on through youth development programs are outreach programs and scholarship opportunities to make sure that we can create access for the entire community and for all the kids that want to come out and participate and play. So, what lies ahead? Tim will talk about some of the next steps as it relates to the development and decision-making points on the path ahead. If this facility is able to come to fruition, or we'd like to think when it comes to fruition, we'll forecast to host over 40 events throughout the year. That will drive an additional almost 46,000 room nights, or guest visits into the market, 14,000 room nights. And what's really peak is that it's not just focused around the prime summertime when already from the lakes you've got a large amount of tourism coming in, but really looking at how do we bring tourism in during those other target focus times when we have dips in our tourism locally. Where we're at on the development schedule is we've completed the feasibility work. As you've seen, we've worked through some of the conceptual design, some of the master planning, and the next step is really coming to partnership development, forming the stakeholder groups and the task force committees, so make sure you fill out the cards if you want to be part of the project. And then we're also going to be engaging with local community residents, staff, and officials to make sure that we can check every box as we work through the process. The actual design and construction of a project like this, we have right now earmarked at about 18 months. Some of that will be dependent upon when we are able to actually get started, what Mother Nature throws at us as far as winter, and just the overall timing of the project. But within 18 to 24 months is the ultimate timeline of when we'd like to see real progress happening on site. Now, this type of project truly doesn't come to life without you all, without the community. And so one of the things that we want to leave here tonight, and Tim will mention this as well, is we have made a form available to go to milfordcampus.com, and at that location, please, any thoughts, feedbacks, comments, suggestions, desire to get involved can be put there. Reach out to your local commissioners and staff if you feel like this is a project that would be good and supportive. Certainly, we would love to have your support as we go forward and gain political will and public support for the project. And then last but not least, and Tim will elaborate on this a little bit more, we have a really big meeting coming up on June 13 to look at how we can move forward with the city at the airport parking lot land and move this transformative project forward. So thank you all so much for the opportunity to be here tonight, for the opportunity to present a little bit about who we are, what we do, and how we see this project being a great transformative project here in the community. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Tim for a conversation on next steps.
So again, the drawing that is on the screen is all conceptual. At one point, we were looking at the sports facility being tucked in right on top of the airport runway, right where we're showing a field house. That field house could be our indoor turf facility. But we decided with all the other amenities, it makes sense to put the sports facility into the commercial area where it's very visible, easily accessed by the people that will go to the facilities. When it comes to the housing piece, again, this is just a concept. There's no developers that are involved yet. We're actually seeking developers, so this is a call for developers that may be interested in participating here. Go to the website, put in your information, and we'll see where we can get with developers that know how to build homes. The land just north of the runway or south of the runway really has low value next to the runway, and no one is willing to invest in that property because the runway's there. We're asking Milford to allow us to convert the public property that is used by a small percentage of people. It's costing the taxpayers of Milford every year, and the occasional overlays and upgrades that are required for that runway, such as the most recent one just a couple years ago, maybe 2019, that cost over $250,000 to overlay that runway of taxpayer money. So we're spending money on the airport. It's not generating revenue for us as citizens. So we're looking to convert that public use land to public use land that will be used by thousands, enjoyed by thousands, and that will generate revenue for our taxpayers and our citizens. We want to turn this land into taxable property. And of course, that'll benefit all the taxpayers of Milford. There was discussion of that overlay. A grant was received from the state to help pay for that, state dollars, state taxpayer dollars, that grant money may have to be paid back by Milford if they close the airport, or if we close the airport. There's a fine line in the administrative code that says if you do close the airport and there's grant money that's been received, we will forgive that grant money payback if you have a plan that provides an economic impact to your community and provides jobs. So quite easily, we meet both of those criteria. We've met with the state DOT who issues those grants, and they have affirmed that there is that possibility that they would forgive that grant money. Again, it's $250,000. We're talking about a multi-million-dollar project. If we did have to pay back some of that money, we could figure that into our budget and our fundraising. The drawings here show over 400 possible housing units. Breaking this down to building 10 homes a year, we're looking at 40 years to really build this out. So we're not going to have an immediate influx of 400 families. That gives us plenty of time to manage the growth and alleviate many fears that come from looking at a housing development like this that is so substantial. We're going to start one home at a time and build the community to the north. My entities and I pay close to $100,000 a year in property taxes. How does a community lower property taxes? The community's on the hook for our current tax bill, but if we could divide the tax bill by bringing in more taxpayers, more homeowners, more property owners, we can hold our tax bill and hopefully bring down our tax bill. The estimate on 400 plus property taxes means $1 million to the city budget. And I don't have the firm number. I asked Leanne, the city administrator, $3 million city budget. If we added $1 million to that, that's quite substantial. I would really see that our tax levy could go down. We need the property tax base from these developments to help us hold or lower our current tax bill. Tax rates will go up, and this is a smart way for us to generate revenue for us as taxpayers. As the properties are developed, tax revenue will increase for whichever city annexes this property. The couple hundred acres there of farmland could stay in the county. It could be annexed into West Okoboji, or of course Milford. The logical plan is to expand Milford like the comprehensive land use plan shows from 2017. By direction from the Milford Mayor and the City Council regarding the airport land, when we made an offer last year to purchase the property, they instructed us to meet with the Parks Board, the Planning and Zoning Board, and the Airport Commission, which we did. The Parks Board actually helped us design the configuration of the 4 ball fields there, and they're very excited about that. So they gave us a thumbs up. Planning and Zoning, they've given an affirmative nod. They like the plans. The Milford Airport Board would like to move from an open airport to another open airport. and without any downtime. If that were to happen, they thought that these plans would be beneficial to the community as well. So please write to, email, speak with the Milford City Council and ask them to sell us the airport land. Their email address is on the Milford City website, or you can simply call City Hall and they can help you get in touch with the council people. We need them to hear more yeses than nos. This master planning is so much better than doing nothing. We have a lot of volunteers that have put in a tremendous amount of time getting us to this point, and it's not fair that I continue to ask them and the community to put forth more volunteer time when we do not have the land to plan. So we have to get over this hump and get an affirmative vote that we can continue our master planning process of this whole property, otherwise it won't come to fruition. At this time, I pledge to continue funding for more master planning that needs to happen once we get that affirmative position from the City Council that yes, they will sell us that land and we can continue on with our stakeholder meetings and our master planning. But besides the funding for the master planning, I'll offer a $10 million grant to act as a lead gift to help all of this come to fruition. Besides donating the land, we have $10 million that we can use to attract additional state money and additional fundraising for this project. So that's really a good start, a really good start to making something happen that is beautiful for our community. At this time, I'd like to introduce Barry Sackett. He's a community advocate and a partner attorney, a founding attorney with Sackett Law Firm. He's here tonight representing a new Okoboji Airport Foundation, an organization that is forming to evaluate a new airport solution for Milford and for Dickinson County. Barry?
Thank you all for coming tonight and being invested in the community. I've had the privilege of working with Tim and with this group on this project since its inception. And one thing that we saw is as we're putting this together, there's pieces that have to fall into place. And one of those pieces is the Milford Airport. And looking at the Milford Airport and who it currently serves and how it serves them brought up another concern. And that concern is, what are the needs of the Milford community and Dickinson County as far as airport services go? I've been a part of the Iowa Lakes Corridor and been on subcommittees that have looked at air travel coming into the Lakes area and how that affects economic development, how that affects property values, how that affects employers looking to relocate here and employees looking to relocate here. So this has been a question that you've all probably heard about. The question of what's going to happen with airports in Dickinson County is not a new one. We've gone through looking historically at a couple of rounds of different evaluations of what that looks like. So Tim and this board looks at problems and sees opportunities, and this created an opportunity for us to say, what do we need in the future as far as air travel in Dickinson County? Let's get the people that care about air travel in Dickinson County and how that affects our quality of life together, and look at opportunities that we can see and places that we can look at. We've engaged some professionals that work in this area, both people that have been in this area before and new people into the area. We've talked to a lot of people that currently use the airports in the community and how are they going to use them. We've talked to the city and the airport board and what are they currently using and how are they using the facilities. And that's what we will continue to do. And that's part of this project because it's an important part of this community and certainly an issue that is hot and you know, maybe a little controversial, and maybe that's what brought some people out here. I hope you came out to see the really exciting sports facility, but if you came out and concerned for the airport, we want to talk to you. We want you to become a member of the Okoboji Airport Foundation. You can go to okobojieairportfoundation.org and sign up there and find out what you can do and how your input can be heard. As we indicated in our conversations with the airport board, they want a place that they can currently do what they're doing as far as air travel goes. But we also look into the future and what are the needs, economic development needs of air travel here. I know we've had a lot of conversations with the current corridor board and the current corridor professionals about what are the things that they're hearing from people in the community as far as air traffic. And we've also done studies of where are other opportunities for airports in the area. So I would encourage anybody that's here on the airport issue to go and give us your input. Let us know what you're thinking and allow us to address it or be a part of the solution. And becoming a part of that solution is to join our foundation, the Okoboji Airport Foundation.org, and coming and being a part of that. So thank you again for coming tonight. We really look forward to having you involved in, you know, what's the next step for air travel in Dickinson County. What are the exciting things that we can do there? And I'll turn it back over to Tim to kind of wrap things up.
So yes, not only are we looking at the sports tourism, the housing, we sympathize with the airport, and so this group that's being formed is going to hopefully come up with a solution or work in the direction where we're just not closing an airport and providing another option for those airport enthusiasts. So tonight's presentation is being recorded and will be posted, so anyone that wasn't here, if you'd like to share that recording with them, that will be made available. Again, if you have ideas, questions, or want to help in any way, please complete the card. You can leave it at the door on the way out. We'll have a box there to drop the cards in. We'll do our best to answer those questions, post them on our website in the frequently asked questions section. You can sign up for the newsletter. That's where we will continue to push out information on our progress. We are on the agenda for the June 13th meeting of the Milford City Council, where we will ask the city to join the initiative and what their decision-making process will look like. We don't know what the steps will be for them to officially say yes to our offer. And with that, I'd like to say, friends, thank you very much for coming out tonight. I can't be more excited about the opportunity that we have in front of us. It's going to be a very heavy lift. But we have some experts that are engaged. We have some professional community members that are engaged. And as you can see by the crowd here tonight, a lot of interested people that will hopefully rally behind us and get things moving for this Milford campus development. So thank you very much.
Okoboji broadcast from the studios at historic Arnold's Park Amusement Park is brought to you in part by the Scott Troutman State Farm Agency in Spirit Lake, Quest Wealth Management, a financial advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, advisor Jan Spielman, AJ Spielman, and Erica Wachholz. The headquarters of the University of Okoboji is at the Three Sons, open Monday through Saturday 10 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 4. Bank Midwest, dream big, plan wisely, live well. Lakes Regional Healthcare and Avera Partner. RUTHVEN Locker at the Lake, where carnivores are welcome on Hill Avenue in Spirit Lake. Beck Engineering in Spirit Lake. Be Radiant Laser Skin Studio in the Okoboji Plaza in Okoboji.